And our first guest tonight is joining us from London. He is the CEO of QW Capital and is Gianluca Lobafalo. Thank you very much for being here with us on Q News, as always. So what aspects of Italy's golden powers does the European Commission believe may breach EU law? And could there be any serious consequences?
Yeah, regarding this, I mean, we have to clarify 2 points. Everybody is associating this warning to, as you said before, to the Unicredit BPM transaction, where basically Italy is exercising its golden power for limiting and forbidding basically Unicredit to take over BPM. But in reality, what Arianna Podesta, representing the Euro Commission, clarified yesterday was that this is a general revision of the golden power of Italy. It actually is going to be in line with the revision for the whole legal framework. Don't forget that there is another part that I think is much more relevant. That is the Article 21. The Article 21 specifically on merger in transactional merger within the European Union clarified that is sole responsibility of the European Union to exercise any exception to an international merge among companies belonging to different EU members. So that's remind me on another case of Unicredit where for some reason the German government is opposing to a takeover by Unicredit of Commerzbank. To me, that is much more problematic because in a way, if we want to see European Union as in one economic area of unity with eventually not just a monetary union, but as well a fiscal and political union, we cannot accept that a local government, in this case the German government, is opposing to a market-driven transaction. As it was not the case for Italy, never opposed when an Italian bank, in specific case, I can remind of BNL, was bought and taken over by BNP from France. So we have to be clear on this. To me, what is astonishing is not necessarily Unicredit versus BPM, is a technicalities on golden power. It will be resolved, I'm sure. But more concerning is that with the kind of no reason for opposition of the German government to the Unicredit takeover of Commerzbank. There is not any exception that is listed in the Article 21 that justify this. That is more concerning.
So is the European Commission pushing strongly for banking sector consolidation? And if so, why so?
It's not necessarily pushing for consolidation. It's market. So not the European Commission. It's market who is pushing for the consolidation. Bear in mind that a European bank like an Asian bank has to compete with U.S. champion. We have seen a consolidation in the U.S. that accelerated after the 2008 global financial crisis. And we have to be realistic. It's no longer a US domestic market, a European market. We are talking about a global market, even though now everybody's talking with globalization on the back foot, because of tariff. But in terms of financial market, this is a global market. So it's not the European Commission let's put it this way, is pushing for or is facilitating, but is seen as the only way for European bank to compete at the global stage. So the idea that there would be a country who is opposing this only because it's not their own banks who are taking over the other, frankly, is not justifiable. Don't forget what problem we had after the 2011 peripheral crisis. Was actually pure a Greek crisis that was developed in a peripheral crisis only because we had some weak player, specifically in Germany and in France, that were not allowing the final manifestation of market force with the proper implication on the Greek bond on the financial European market. So we cannot make this mistake again.
And can you explain to our viewers to what extent can Italy justify national interest interventions in the banking sector when it comes to EU law? Do they have a case there to put forward?
I mean, this is not national interest. I mean, the golden power on this specifically, we are not talking about any transnational operation because it's an Italian bank, Unicredit, who is taking over BPM. There will be internal equilibrium. There will be condition on no consolidation, too much consolidation within the national border. And that is something that is a technical issue that will be resolved. Again, I'm not seeing necessarily a specific warning on this specific deal, but is much more that the EU law will require more harmonization at any country level. Or regarding what we were saying before in terms of transactional transaction, that is much more Unicredit with Commerzbank that I still don't understand how can be possibly opposed. There is not any exception that can be underlined in this exception for the merger that can be supported by the German government, frankly.
So what message does UniCredit's withdrawal from its Banco BPM bid send about political risk in Italy's banking sector?
This is frankly is quite common. I mean, we are now talking about this transaction, but there are some banks, don't forget, they represent sometimes local interest, regional interest within a country. So the idea to have a dominant presence of a specific bank can be seen as a non-sustainable for the future of retail investor and savers. Italy has a specific economy based on small and mid-cap companies that are really linked to the regional, to the local economy. So the idea that eventually you want to see BPM representing more the local interest rather than the national bank is something that maybe the government is considering. I'm not aware of a specific position at the moment that justify that, but can very possibly be. And the Italian government has been extremely this Italian government has been particularly market friendly. So I would be surprised if they do something against market rule. So it's to be seen.
But if Italy is forced to scale back its golden powers, would there be a particular impact, a big impact on its financial stability and the domestic banking competitiveness?
Not really. Don't forget that Italian bank system is one of the most resilient and definitely one of the most robust we have at the moment in Europe. Contrary to what the general assumption was, we had much more trouble, and we have seen in 2008 crisis in the UK banks that were extremely over-leveraged. We had in German bank, and don't forget the trouble of Deutsche Bank, who had incredible loss in 2008 with the budget where that balance sheet was 4 times bigger than the German GDP. We know we don't have this systemic risk in Italy. Banks are pretty robust. Yes, they haven't been particularly leveraged. They've been criticized pre-2008 not to be extremely aggressive in terms of financial engineering, but that's pay off. Banca Intesa and Unicredit, who are the major Italian bank, are definitely in the top 3 of the most stable bank in Europe. So I don't see this as a risk for financial stability in Italy at all, nor for the credit system. It's a matter of balance or a connection between local bank and the local and regional economy. It's nothing to do with stability.
And does this dispute signal a deeper conflict between EU integration goals and the resurgence of national economic sovereignty in member states?
Not in the specific Unicredit BPM. You can argue that would be the case for Unicredit Commerzbank, yes, but we have to see. This is still an open matter, hasn't been resolved. I believe it will be resolved in a good way, in a way European leaders realize that we need to have, as we said before, a European champion. It doesn't matter if it's an Italian bank who overtake a German bank or a French bank overtaking an Italian bank. The interest is at a European level. We have to build very strong champion, market-driven. It shouldn't be a European Union political decision to trigger a consolidation. Should be market-driven, as it is the case nowadays.
Gianluca Lobofalo, thank you very much for joining us, CEO of QW Capital. Thank you very much indeed.